It's time for us to do Alter Bridge tier list discography. Piggybacking on the new release of the new Alter Bridge album, I did my first live stream here on the channel. I need to praise Alter Bridge more on this channel. Not only doing Miles's video, but I need to praise more Alter Bridge on this channel. So why not doing just tier list of the whole 8 albums of Alter Bridge's discography. Let's go with the easy S, A, B, C, and D tier. It's not change. You have all your 4 albums here. Let's put them in order to talk about them in order. So a little bit of backstory. Alter Bridge. For those that don't know, it's Mark Tremonti, Scott Phillips, Brian Marshall, and Miles Kennedy, the 4 piece that had the same members since 2004, which is the first release, which was the first album release. One Day Remains. 3 guys, all the 4 guys, all the 3 guys minus Miles Kennedy were former Creed members. They decided to leave with all the issues that Scott Stapp was having at the time in the late 90s, early 2000s, and form a new band with Mayfield Force vocalist and main songwriter from Spokane, Washington, Miles Kennedy. And then they released the first album, this one here, One Day Remains. And One Day Remains is Alter Bridge still trying to figure out their sound. It's a very Creed-like oriented, with obvious Miles with a different voice. But you do get more mellow, a lot of mellow songs, less structure, more radio friendly. Not that they are radio friendly, but you got Metalingus, which became a huge hit. I think one of the most important songs of the band, because the Edge of WWE used the intro as his intro to go on stage or something. I'm not. I have no idea how WWE works. That was an important song. I remember playing WWE on PlayStation 2. I think they had that song on it. 2004, 2003, 2004. So yes, Metalingus is a more of a heavier song with great choruses. This is a lot of those songs are more catchy, easy listening. Open Your Eyes is another great song. One Day Remains, underrated song. Find the Real, it's how they started. It's a great intro. And then Down to My Last, Watch Your Word, Shed My Skin, The End Is Here. They're again more of a mellow approach. Broken Wings, another huge hit of the band. I think after Metalingus, it is the second greatest hit of the album. It is still Alter Bridge trying to find their sound, very similar to Creed with a different voice. So with that, I'm gonna put on the A list. It is a great album, not their best, but it's a great debut album. An incredible debut. And Alter Bridge is one of those bands that I'm happy to say that I've been following them since the start. So that's the album that got my attention right away. So One Day Remains debut, it's a A-list. Now, let's talk about the magnum opus, the legendary Blackbird. Blackbird, arguably the best Alter Bridge album. That's what people said. But honestly, you can. I don't know if I agree much with it. It's hard to pin it down. But Alter Bridge with a classic sound. That's by far my favorite album. That's the one that they reshape the sound a little bit, change a couple things. Instead of being mellow, they're heavier but also super catchy, and the chorus is a super strong, easy to follow through, easy to remember, easy to sing along. I do have a Blackbird tattoo on my back, cover art of the album. No, Come to Life, Coming Home, Before Tomorrow Comes, Rise Today, incredible hit. Another, probably the biggest hit after Blackbird. Watch Over You, amazing ballad, one of my favorite ballads of all time. White Knuckles, underrated. Break Me Down's underrated. One by One, underrated. This album here, I think it's safe to say is a 10 out of 10. There's no fillers on this beauty over here. And you have, I think the three stronger songs are different layers. Before Tomorrow, Rise Today, it's a hit, verse, chorus, big sound, big lyrics. And you have a ballad with Watch Over You, one of my favorite ballads. And you have a bigger, more progressive song with Blackbird, with incredible solo, a good crescendo, starting slow and then building. You build up Blackbird. It is amazing, and it's safe to say it is a S tier, S tier, and one of my favorite albums of all time. But we're gonna get into that because, like I say, as an Alter Bridge classic sound, I think it's my favorite, and I think no, it is my favorite album. But I don't know if it's my favorite Alter Bridge album. We're gonna get there soon. Now let's talk about AB3 from 2010. It's definitely the Alter Bridge album that I listen to the most, and I gonna go over why. This is the, I think on Spotify there's the version that has Zero and Home, which is the two bonus tracks, which are great bonus tracks by the way. So we have so far One Day Remains in being released in 2004, Blackbird in 2007, and 3 years later we got AB3. AB3 definitely a darker, heavier, moodier, and more introspective album. It does, and I think here we are starting to get more of Tremonti's greatest riffs. I think here is the first, with Isolation especially, is the first time that we can see more of a heavy metal approach on Tremonti's riffs as a fresher sound. Slip to the Void, one of the greatest intros of an album of all time. Isolation, one of my favorite Alter Bridges riffs, and one of the most popular songs. You got Ghost of Days Gone By, easy song to listen and to jam and to sing along. Our Hope Is Gone, a more, a darker and more moodier approach. Still Remains, Make It Right, underrated songs. Wonderful Life, a ballad that it's not as great as Watch Over You, but it's still a solid ballad. They did for a long time. They play Watch Over You and Wonderful Life together when Miles just plays by himself on the live shows and on acoustic set. I Know It Hurts is a great choruses. Show Me a Sign, it's not the strongest Alter Bridge song, but Fallout, Breathe Again, and Life Must Go On. Life Must Go On is such an underrated song. Very underrated song. And you had Coeur d'Alene, which is my favorite song of the album. The introduction, the riff of this song, it's an easy riff, but it's a repetitive riff, but so well built. It's like the heaviness. It's not super heavy on blah, blah, but it's heavy, sort of like atmospheric heavy. And you have one of the best Miles's vocal deliveries with Words Darker Than the Wings. They barely played this song live. They ended up playing when they did the live version with the Manchester Orchestra, and a great song to finish the album. That's for sure. And then you have Zero and Home with the two bonus tracks, but talking about just the whole album here, the original album. But AB3, why I listen to this album so much is that at that time, 2010 and 2011, around that time, I was going to a really, really dark path and dark place in my life. And I think that album just fitted so well with what I was going through and my mood. And it's sort of like, that album sort of was speaking to me and made me understand. The album was understanding me. And I think AB3 was what I needed at that time. So for me, after two more sort of happier albums, especially What Day Remains, and you have AB3 as a introspective, more darker and heavier album, changing the approach of the songwriting a little bit, lyrics as well. AB3 is a S tier. That's definitely the album, the Alter Bridge album that I listen to the most, and it has a special place for me. Uh, yeah, and then yeah, 3 years later, and very consistent on the releases. Fortress in 2013 was released, and the album cover is so iconic. It's such a beauty. Great. I had a shirt with that cover, and it got too small. Um, yeah, and it's good to remember that between 2010 and 2013, Miles started playing with Slash on the Slash's featuring Myers Kennedy and the Conspirators, Slash's solo career. They released two albums, so there's a lot going on the Alter Bridge world with Tremoni with his solo career as well. There's a lot of stuff going on, and they still end up putting, which is for me my favorite Alter Bridge album of all time. Fortress. It is a perfect mix of trash, progressive-ish, hard, and the classic Alter Bridge sound. I think Tremoni and Miles is too, but I think Tremoni really embraced the thrash approach writing this album. Cry of a Kill is a great introduction with a acoustic intro. You have a 6 minute and 30-second song to start with. The songs that had more layers on it. They are bigger. They have different nuances. Addicted to Pain, the heavier song of the album, Bleedy Dry, Lover with more mellow approach, and but it's still incredible. The Uninvited, underrated song, Pieces Broken, a great choruses, Calm the Fire, another extremely underrated song. Water is Rising with Tremoni singing the first, I think it's the first song that he sings the whole thing as a main vocalist. Miles kind of gets in at the end. uh, Farther Than the Sun, underrated song, Cry a River, All Ends Well, and Fortress. Fortress, the last song, it is a masterpiece. It is same level as Blackbird. For me, same level as Blackbird. There was plenty times, and I think nowadays I do like Fortress more than I like Blackbird. The song, the album as well, but the song I like more. It's good to see that they try to do something different approach on a couple of songs. They start working more on the way of writing bigger pieces with different nuances, acoustic, heavier, big choruses. Everything works super well. There's a lot of underrated songs that a lot of Alter Bridge, I don't want to say fans, but people that know the band do not know a couple of the songs, and it's hard for them to play live because after 8 albums, it's really hard to play those sort of B sides. But yeah, man, Fortress, it is my favorite Alter Bridge album of all time, and it's definitely S list. This three over here, you can't go wrong. That's the best Alter Bridge era here. What incredible run of albums. Yeah, and then you get the Last Hero, which is again 3 years later, with Miles and Tremoni still very busy on their solo careers. I think after this year's Miles released his first solo album, so it's a lot going on. Don't know how I feel about this album nowadays. Maybe I like it better than I like it when it came out, but it never. I listened to a lot when it came out, but it never really did for me. Starting with it's something to be picked up, but the album cover it doesn't do it at all for me. It's so far off from, you look at this, look at One Day Remains, look at Blackbird, AB3, Fortress, and you have, I don't know, it just looks lazy and doesn't fit the style and the aesthetics of the band. They changed the logo too, which is something that we can talk about later. But Yeah, it has a strong start with Show Me a Leader, but Writing on the Wall, The Other Side, good songs. Not a big fan of My Champion. Uh, Poison in Your Veins, it has a strong choruses and Cradle to the Grave as well. It doesn't do as well as the other ones. Losing Patience is almost the same as Cradle to the Grave and Poison in Your Veins. Strong choruses, but weaker song. You Will Be Remember is they try to do a ballad, but it doesn't work for me. Cross on Wire, and then after that, it goes down, and I don't. That album never did much for me. I think everything they do on this album, apart from two, three, four songs, everything they do on this album, they did better before. So I don't really go back to this album at all. So yeah, I might change my mind if I listen to again. I'm not gonna change much to put on a S tier, but it is for me. It is the weakest. Yeah, it is a C. It is a C because I think the thing which is the most important is that everything they try to do on this album, they've done it before. Which comes to the point of the next album, which is Walk the Sky. Again, 3 years later, incredible run. 3 years, 3 years. They didn't miss it. Incredible. And Walk the Sky, although as an album, see if that makes sense. As an album, I like as same as The Last Hero, but at least on this album they try to change a little bit. I like the idea of this album more than I like the execution, but I like that after solid 15 years ish as a band, they try to go for a different way, which it is more the synthesizers. Miles talk a lot about of being influenced by Gojira and newer bands of heavy metal. So you can see that the introduction of Godspeed, the introduction of they put One Life, the first interlude that they ever put on the album. Wouldn't You Rather is a great song. Native Song is a great heavy song, and then Take the Crown, Indoctrination, The Bitter End, Pain on Mind. You can see, you sort of sound, and you can listen and hear that those things that they try to put as influences, you see if they try to work that. It doesn't, the execution, it's not as good as I was expecting or hope for, but Walking on the Sky is a very, very good underrated song, and Dying Light's a decent song as well. But again, I like the idea of this album more than I like the execution. But for them to try, I'll put a B because I think The Last Hero is more of a lazy album. Pauls and Kings, 2022, 3 years after, incredible. Pauls and Kings for me is the weakest Alter Bridge album. Doesn't mean that's a bad album, but it's the weakest. I think with this album, they try to put everything together, all the influences from the 6 previous albums, and it there's nothing really memorable over here. This Is War, That Among the Living, good songs. Silver Tongue, the intro of Silver Tongue is different. It's more like a tribal introduction or more tribal oriented. But you know how they stay. I think it goes back to the same as the last hero. That most of the stuff that they did here, they done it before and better. And I think they do it poorly over here. And you get Fable of the Silent Sun, which is an amazing song, where I think it's my favorite song of this album. And you have the self-titled track, Pauls and Kings, good album, good song. Last Man Standing, good song, but it's not. I don't go back to this album at all to listen to it. It's weak. It's a weak album. It's a weak album. And I had this sensation when I listened to the first time back in 2022. By far, the Alter Bridge album that I listened to the least. But different with Last Hero, I listened to a lot of Last Hero when it came out, but it just lost me as time went on. But this one here never won me. Never really had a chance. With that, I'm gonna put Pauls and Kings on D. Then we finish with Alter Bridge from 2026, the first album that they released with a 4 year gap. Mainly because Creed got back, there's a reunion. Tremonti was releasing solo material, Miles was releasing solo material. There was not much going on with Slash within the last 4 years, but they're just busy, man. It's busy, very busy. It might be early to say, but it is, since Fortress, it is my favorite Alter Bridge album. And I think they nailed it here. They sort of shorted a little bit, took the excess of a lot of songs, went back to more of a regular formula, embraced the Alter Bridge sound on this album, and honestly released an incredible album. Silent Divide, Rule the Day, Power Down, Trust Me in Disregard. Incredible 5 run to start. Taste and Able and What Lies Within. What Lies Within, it's that song that has the chorus that sticks to your head, you know. Hang by a Thread, Playing Aces, What Are You Waiting For, Slave to Master, underrated songs. Yeah, you know, it's been a week or so. It's been less than a week, actually, that I listened to it for the first time, but I've been listening to a lot. And it's safe to say that I didn't do that with Pawns and Kings. I did that with Walk the Sky, but Walk the Sky, you know when you're listening and you start skipping a couple songs here and there. I haven't done that with this one. I think it's the same with The Last Hero for me, but this one is being winning me more, if that makes sense. It's not an S tier, but it's definitely an A tier. It's there with One Day Remains. I might change that after a year or so. Maybe I'm just excited to listen to Alter Bridge new stuff after 4 years. You know, I'm used to just 3 years, so don't let me wait more than 4 years or more than 3 years right now, because I guess I'm gonna like the albums more, or maybe they did that on purpose, you know. But yeah, what do you think? This is the Alter Bridge tier list album. S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier. With that being said, there's a lot of bands that have a S and A tier album that don't even go on the D and C tier over here with Alter Bridge. I don't think they have a bad album. It's just not for me. I don't think they have a bad album. But anyways, what do you think? You agree, disagree? You change anything? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. I appreciate everyone's support as always. And looking forward for the rest of 2026. It's going to be a good year.